Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And today, Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones had a discussion about the goings-on around the world, but of course, the main topic was Iran and what should happen there. What is going to happen there? We don't know. Is this going to be an all-in thing? Are we going to have troops on the ground? This is a country of 90 million people, over 90 million people. And according to a lot of foreign media, Iran is fighting back. They're not giving up. And there's been some coverage of Trump over the last 10 hours where he doesn't look very confident. As a matter of fact, he looks very old. He looks like a guy who bit off more than he could chew. He looks like a guy who's been hoodwinked and disappointed. He should have never have gone this route, because this could be an unmitigated disaster. Here is Fuentes and Jones speaking about what should Trump do, and this is a very urgent message. And I got to tell you, Nick Fuentes must have something on Alex Jones, because Alex normally will interrupt the shit out of people when they're talking. He doesn't really interrupt Nick at all. He must really respect and like him. But here it is.
What would you advise the president to do right now?
Well, it's tricky because we're in. So, you would have said never go in, but we're in now. Now that we're in, I think you got to hit Iran really hard and then you try your best to leave. But, again, it's like I said before, Israel's going to want us to push deeper and deeper into this until we have a full-scale regime change.
And then we win, put assholes in to do it again. Right.
So you got to back off. You got to let the Iranian regime reconstitute itself and restore order. Because if the Iranian security architecture is not going to rule the country, then who is? There's nobody else. So it's
that's what Aaron Prince said 2 weeks ago. Same thing.
Everyone has. I mean, it's just obvious. This country has 90 million people in it. Their economy's already collapsing. If you don't have the IRGC running the country, it's just going to be a failed state. Unless you have an alternative, which they don't. So that's who's going to prevail. And so you need to just...
it's a war crime to go wreck this state if you don't have an alternative.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What the danger of this whole thing is we don't know if Iran has enriched uranium. We don't know that. We keep saying that Trump keeps saying that they bombed their nuclear plants and everything is destroyed. They gave them 2 weeks notice to get all that shit out of there. It's probably hiding somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if it's hiding somewhere in Afghanistan. I wouldn't be surprised if it's hiding somewhere in Turkey or even in further out. Maybe their friends in India have it. Who knows? India and Iran are very close historically. For thousands of years, they have been very, very close people. The Indians don't care for the United States at all. So if Iran becomes a failed state, does that uranium, or does any of those if there's a nuclear bomb that's almost ready, being put in the hands of some of these maniac terrorists that exist, that are born and raised in the Middle East, that are there, this could be very, very tricky. And again, it shocks me that Trump would allow himself to be hoodwinked by Netanyahu and the Israelis. It boggles the mind. This guy has just gone down as an absolute failure in his second term. Failure. Here's Nick.
This is shaping up to look like Syria or like Libya, one of these places where it's like the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Because who's then going to provide all the services and the goods, and who's going to provide for the logistics and infrastructure, security?
Well, I've seen Israelis on a bunch of interviews say, we don't care about the Iranians. Screw them. Wreck it. We can't be part of something like that.
Well, and this is the Jewish holiday of Purim. I believe it was yesterday, Purim, which commemorates the victory of the Jews over the Iranians, and they celebrate their victory by killing 75,000 Iranians just on account of. They already won, they already got through Kai, and they just killed a bunch of them anyway. So they view them as the Amalekites. And the Amalekites kill the women, kill the children, kill everybody. That's who we're dealing with here. And people say it's the Khazar Mafia. People say it's the Masons. This is out of the Old Testament. This is out of the Talmud. It's Jews. It's Israel. And that's what they have in store for the Iranians. They love, just like in Gaza, they love to see it.
And that's courtesy of Alex Jones, of course. I mean, there's nothing really you can say. I mean, what can you disagree with here? This is turning, this could turn into something a lot bigger. And unless the U.S. does the sensible thing, go in, hit them, let them know you're there, and then leave, and don't go back, and tell Israel to back off. Israel can't do anything anyway without us. And from what all reports are from world news, not just American, but world news, is that the bombs, the military capability of the Israelis and the United States, that's what's scary, is depleted already. Could you imagine? We spend $1 trillion a year on defense, and we're running out of bombs already. You would think we'd have bombs up the ass. Israel certainly doesn't have anything. They don't have the wherewithal to build a military campaign that would take over the entire Middle East, like the Greater Israel Project supposedly is. They couldn't do it without us. So I think what Trump will do is the same thing he does with everything, right? He wanted Greenland. Nobody's talking about Greenland anymore. He wanted Venezuela. Nobody's talking about Venezuela anymore. He wanted Nigeria. Nobody, you can save Nigeria. He bombed Nigeria and left it alone. I think this is the same thing. He's very fickle. He bores very easily. And he's not one to finish the job, it seems. And I think in this case, trying to finish the job would be just political suicide for the Republican Party, because there is no winning this. There is no winning this at all. I don't care if France and Germany and England, they say they want to join in. They're not going to join in. They'll send doctors maybe, and some dudes who study sand and shit, but they don't. They're not putting boots on the ground. They don't have the capability. We're the only military in the world that can put up any sense of conquering in the Middle East, and we can't do it. We just don't have the capabilities. We do have the capabilities, but we don't have the wherewithal to do it, because it's going to get bloody. It's going to get very bloody. And Americans, as I said last night, the last thing Americans want to see on TV are coffins with American flags draped over them. They don't want to see that. We don't have the stomach for that. We're not built that way. We are a bully. We are a little boy who's a bully. We hit. The minute we get hit back, we're out of there. Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq, Korea, you just name the wars. And that's what the United States is. That's what their MO is. They get out of there as soon as it gets tough. Now we have our good friend Pete Hegseth, whatever the fuck his name is. He's just a bizarre individual. He's one of those dickheads that's covered in tattoos because he thinks that makes him tough. He said something very interesting today. He had a press conference, and Hegseth bizarrely claimed in a live Pentagon address that the United States did in fact not start war with Iran. In his platitude-filled broadcast message on Monday morning, yesterday I should say, he said that Iran has carried out attacks for decades in a one-sided war against America. without offering much in any specifics. Zero specifics. I want to know where Iran it was killing Americans. Show me. Hedseth said, and I quote, "We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we're finishing it," end quote. Oh, that's a tough guy. You can tell that's a guy who got fucked up in high school. Didn't get laid, and he got his ass kicked in high school. Elsewhere in the communique, he said the goal of the so-called, quote, Operation Epic Fury was not regime change, even though the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, was killed in an earlier strike. Hedseth said, and I quote, "This is not so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it." This guy's dick. He's so corny. He also rolled out his usual spiel railing against, quote, political correct wars and saying that the Iran offensive is bound by, quote, no stupid rules of engagement. The address was first from the Pentagon since December 2nd of last year. We'll let you hear old Pete speak himself. He's so goofy. It's amazing.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
I wonder if he needed a teleprompter for that. I wonder if he needed a teleprompter for any of that entire 6 seconds. We're led by imbeciles. I think it was Mark Twain or W.C. Fields who once said that only idiots go for enter politics. Smart people will never enter politics. Look at this. This guy is a tattooed covered buffoon. And he calls himself not Secretary of Defense. He calls himself Secretary of War because he's so tough. I want to see his kids go fight this war. I want to see him get out of that cheap looking suit. Pick up a weapon and go lead by example, like Murat did when he led the epic cavalry charge against the Prussians for the great Napoleon. Pete won't do that. Pete's a coward. He'd rather your sons and daughters die than risk his life or his family's life. Operation Epic Fury could soon become an epic fail. I think what Fuentes said was right. I believe the same thing. I think I said that yesterday. If you're going to hit him, just hit him and get out. No boots on the ground, no nation building, none of that bullshit, because it's going to cost trillions of dollars and thousands of lives, American lives, and we just can't afford that right now. Our infrastructure in this country is a disaster. Buildings are falling, potholes all over the roads. Schools are terrible. Education system, disaster. You walk into city halls across America, they look like a slumlord owns them. Why? Because there's no more money to build, rebuild, and replenish these places or the infrastructure of this country. Where does it go? It goes to the stupidest war. It's trillions of dollars a year to build bombs and to build tanks and machine guns and all this shit that just go to waste anyway. All these bullshit planes that flying over dropping bombs, you can't win a war that way. You're not going to get regime change that way. What you're going to get is a power vacuum, and you're going to get radical nuts taking over that country, just like in Iraq with ISIS, just like with Afghanistan with Al-Qaeda. And it's going to bite us in the ass. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, maybe not next year, but soon. And there's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful, my friends. Satan is always busy. Be a man and have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later.